Instead of taking a summative exam for Unit 4, you will have a summative project on ancient Africa. For your summative project on ancient Africa, you will be researching and filling out an African project matrix using the resources in Schoology, your textbook, and the internet. This assignment will be worth 25 summative points. Here is the matrix that you will need to download and put into Schoology. This is what you will be submitting for your assignment. Everything that you will research about ancient Africa will go onto this matrix. The first boxes are where you can put down the sources or where you find your information. Everybody should use Chapter 8 from your textbook as one of your sources. You need at least 3 other sources. Then, each objective is broken down into certain boxes. Objective number 1 is worth 5 summative points. And objective number 1 says to describe Bantu culture and migration. You have 2 boxes that you will need to fill out. The first one on the left is to describe Bantu culture. I am looking for information about their language, history, literature, music, agriculture, society and family, and government. Then on the right, you will explain the migration of the Bantu people. Okay, so how did the Bantu people move across Africa, and how did they share their culture and create cultural exchange? Again, objective number 1 is worth 5 summative points. Objective number 2 is worth 10 summative points. And objective number 2 is broken down into 2 parts. Part number 1 has to do with Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. Part number 2 has to do with Great Zimbabwe and the Swahili states. For each of these 5 civilizations or 5 empires, I am looking for the date in which these civilizations ruled. Okay? We also provide you with page numbers where you can find this information in your textbook. After you determine the date in which they were in power, then you need to describe each of the civilizations. What was their government type and who were some famous leaders? What did they trade and who did they trade with? What was their main religion? And then you also need to include a map of the civilization. After you describe Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, then you will need to explain how Ghana, Mali, and Songhai interacted with one another. Okay. You do the same thing for Great Zimbabwe and Swahili states. You describe each of the civilizations and then explain their interaction. Again, objective number 2 is worth 10 summative points. Objective number 3 is your final objective, and it is also worth 10 summative points. For objective number 3, you are going to identify and show the effects of long-distance trade in Africa. Okay? When I say long-distance trade, we are talking about trade that exists outside of Africa. You should have already covered internal trade between civilizations in objective number 2. So with objective number 3, we are looking for information about trade that existed outside of Africa with these African civilizations. You have 8 different boxes that you will be filling out. The first one is who are their trading partners? Okay, so who did Swahili states, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai all trade with outside of Africa? How did this trade affect their trading partners? What was traded? And how did these goods and materials affect African civilizations, as well as the trade routes and how it impacted the African landscape? Then the second part of objective number 3 has to do with the coming of Islam in Africa. So how did the settlement of Muslims in Africa affect trade, and how did Islam alter African culture? Again, objective number 3 is worth 10 summative points. When you have completed your entire research matrix, this is what you are going to submit to Schoology. Here's a rubric that shows how your project will be graded. Again, objective number 1, to describe Bantu culture and migration, is worth 5 summative points. Objective number 2, describing the African civilizations of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Great Zimbabwe, and Swahili states are worth 10 summative points. We have them broken down into 2 sections. The first one, Ghana, Mali, Songhai, worth 6 points. The second one, Great Zimbabwe and Swahili states, worth 4 points. Finally, objective number 3, to identify and show the effects of long-distance trade, is also worth 10 summative points. Altogether, your project is worth 25 summative points. Attached in this assignment is the matrix that you will fill out and submit, as well as Chapter 8 from your textbook. You have additional resources available to you in the Unit 4 Project Resources folder. Okay. Again, you have Chapter 8 from your textbook. You have additional textbook information from different textbooks besides your own, as well as sources for each objective linked in the folders. Again, you need 3 sources total for your project. Your project is due on Monday.